But it's 6:33. I would like to call the Eastern Essex District Department of Veteran Services Committee to order. Do I have a second? Second. So, everyone, thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight we have an agenda of a few things. The main piece of it is discussing our new VSO interview process, and we have the team here that did the interview. And this middle piece is to talk to the board itself and make sure that understanding how the process went and some of the granular details. But before we kick things off, since we do have some guests, it might be appropriate to just go around and introduce ourselves and make sure that we all know who is participating. First of all, I'm tickled pink that we have four members from our community with us. But I'll start off. I'm Mike Flynn. I'm a former naval officer. I live in the beautiful town of Essex, Massachusetts, and I am absolutely honored to participate in this very important veterans program that basically helps those that gave so much for our country. Go this way.
Sure. I'm Cindy Quinn. I take minutes for the board, and my son is in the Army National Guard, and he's been in there for almost 25 years.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm Sherry David, Raleigh Board of Selectmen. I'm not a veteran, but I have many family members that are veterans, so I'm honored to be part of it.
My name is Larry Jordan. I'm an Essex resident residing now in Beverly.
Okay.
I'm a Marine Corps combat veteran from Vietnam. I was the VSO here for many years when I retired from the police department. So I have some experience with that, and I'm very happy to be here.
My name is Bill Vine.
Hey, Bill.
I'm a townie. I've been born in Cable Hospital, Air Force, my age, Vietnam. I'm the senior vice commander at the VFW.
Great.
Ed Marsh, I'm an
Oh, hi, Ed. Welcome.
Essex resident, former commander of VFW Post N93, and member of all the veterans posts.
Well, I'm Bob Breaker. I'm from Raleigh. How you doing? I'm retired from the U.S. Coast Guard, a senior chief. I am on the Veterans Committee in Raleigh. We have a Veterans Committee, and I rep Sherry Davis, and I'm here because I want to be involved in the process and get the best VSO possible to help our veterans.
Terrific. We'll do Karen.
What are you doing?
All right, Linda.
Thank you. I'm Linda Alexson. I am on the Ipswich Select Board. I've been on the Veterans Committee, the board here since 2017. And I think most of you know, I am not a veteran myself, but my son is a career Air Force officer. And I really enjoy being on this committee and helping veterans to the extent that I can.
I'm Karen Bell. I'm from Essex. Also, I'm the Veteran Services Office Assistant and soon to be Army mom.
Hi.
Way to go.
Yeah.
God, 1.5.
But I do enjoy, I have a lot of military in my family, and I do enjoy helping the veterans in town.
Ron Ross, retired active duty, 30 years Army officer, out of West Newbury. It's an honor and a privilege to be the representative, helping the vets out of our town. I got two sons that are in the military. I would say Fort Bragg, because that's where I was born and raised, but it's now Fort Liberty. My oldest son's in 3rd Special Forces Group, and my youngest son is in 20th Special Forces Group. So we'll fight the military family.
And I'm Doug Dawes from Georgetown. I'm on the Board of Selectmen. I served in the United States Air Force for 4 years during Vietnam. I happen to be the commander of the American Legion post in town, and I'm a life member of the VFW, DAV, and Vietnam veterans.
Great, great. Well, first of all, welcome everyone. We have an agenda here, and the first thing on the agenda is citizens inquiry. Are there any questions or anything from our participants that folks would like to talk about, or anyone that's dialing in online? Okay. With that, I think we should move to item 2, and which is the discussion of the VSO process, the interviewees. Basically, long and short, try and get a report from the team members, but the committee that was responsible for interviewing, and so going through the resumes. But before we kick it over to the team, I just want to say sincerely thank you. Having been through many processes, many interview processes, that is a thorough work. The thorough work that you did is appreciated, and without good work on the front end, you're not going to get a good qualified candidate. So again, to the team, to the 3 members of the committee that worked through this, that run the committee, I want to express my sincerest thanks. So with that, I will turn it over to our 3 committee members that went through the resumes, and maybe we can talk a little bit about the process and you know, the results that you're presenting to the board.
Well, Linda was the chair of that search committee, so we'll let Linda start. Ladies before.
Thank you. Thanks. So yeah, it was a very interesting process. We call ourselves the screening committee. So I'll just start by saying that early in September, I met with several veterans from Ipswich and Raleigh, some of whom are here tonight, at their invitation to hear thoughts on what attributes are important to them in our next VSO. And many of the comments had a similar theme to a lot of what we discuss as a board, centering around excellent communication and leadership skills, dedication to helping veterans and their families, in-depth knowledge of veterans' benefits and programs, visibility in the community, and creativity in creating opportunities for veterans outreach within the 6 district towns. Those are pretty much the most important things that I took away from that meeting. And so we had Ipswich Human Resources was very helpful. The town manager's office, as well as Human Resources, were very helpful with advice and process. And they posted the advertisement for us, and we also sent it to the other 5 towns for posting on their HR sites. A total of 13 resumes were received. All were redacted for any identifying information as to name, address, gender, and that type of information. So the screening committee first met on September 12th, and we went through all of these 13 resumes and looked at them we didn't know any of the identifying information. So we only reviewed qualifications and experience. From those 13, we selected 4 resumes who we unanimously felt might possibly have the skills and experience that this position requires and that our veterans expect. Ipswich Human Resources contacted each of the 4 and scheduled preliminary interviews with the screening committee. The screening committee created a list of questions to be asked for each at each interview, so that we were pretty much asking the same questions of each of the interviewees. And Ron and Doug, step in if I misspeak here. But so this list of questions was really just a guideline. Most questions were asked. Some answers generated follow-up questions, and we actually came up with a few additional questions that weren't on the list. It really served as a guideline so that we were focusing on some of the things that were most important at this beginning of the process. The preliminary interviews were held on September 19th, 21st, and 27th. And following the last interview, the screening committee selected 3 finalists to be interviewed by the full board, which is scheduled, I think at this point, for October 18th. And that will be in a open public meeting. All of the screening committee meetings were held in executive session pursuant to guidance from legal counsel. This protects the identity of candidates during that preliminary process, but the finalist interviews on the 18th, like I just said, will be held in an open public meeting. So again, on the 18th, we'll meet with the 3 finalists. I have a meeting room reserved at Ipswich Town Hall. The schedule I anticipate will run something like the first interview would be 6 to 6:45. Then a break. The second one will run from 7 to 7:45 and another break. And the final one would be 8 to 8:45. And then I would suggest, and I think the screening committee concurs, that we should schedule a second meeting shortly thereafter to discuss the interviews and select a finalist and to talk about next steps. So I do want to thank the Ipswich staff upstairs, Mary Gallivan, the Assistant Town Manager and Human Resources Director, Town Manager Stephen Crane, and Executive Assistant Leah Niska for all of their advice and assistance with this process. So Doug and Ron, did I leave out anything?
To be honest with you, with the work that Linda did putting this together with the help of the Ipswich staff was phenomenal. Made George and my life very easy. It was very well organized. The whole process was very well done, very thorough, and the result of it comes up with 3 great candidates for the entire board and everybody to see, which is, I think, was the final objective, and it was met absolutely perfectly. So Linda did a great job. George did a phenomenal job also. And thank you very much to the entire Ipswich HR staff, and the whole Ipswich staff was great. So very, 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 very well done.
It was, the 3 of us put together questions. And then we did them all to Linda, Linda being the wordsmith of the group. And so we got all those questions, maybe with some secondary topics, and all the applicants were asked the same questions. There weren't any specific order. I just went on and checked off as we did each one, and then that led to secondary, tertiary questions that may have come up from their answer to ask them to clarify or expand or something like that. And it was a very good process. It went very well, and we got some very good candidates, and we're presenting the 3 best.
And may I ask the committee, we had a body of 3 or 4 that were that sort of met the screening process. What did the folks, what brought them into that crowd? Was it experience? Was it military service? Was it was it the length of military service? Was it other things they've done in civilian life? Was it a mix of those things? What brought, generally what brought a candidate from, the candidate pile to sort of the finalist pile? And again, anecdotally, we don't have to be specific.
If you interview them, once we do interview them, you'll find that they each feel the job as a calling and not a job.
Sure.
Of course, they're required to have veteran status, military service. The 3 that we're presenting have been active within the veterans community in their various positions.
Okay.
Not necessarily as a VSO, but in other positions that they may.
Sure.
With veterans. And whether they were at the Bedford VA or JP or, other types of facilities that dealt with veterans. So that's what we saw. And then there were, we had 13 applicants, and 9 of them just didn't meet the qualifications that we were looking for.
Sure.
Not that we were stringent, but we were pretty tight in what we were looking for, because we want a VSO that will be engaging in the community.
And the consensus was pretty tight among the board, if I could.
Oh, yeah,
I've heard that.
It was spot on continuously. Everybody.
Yeah, there was no dissension amongst us on any of the candidates. From we whittled down from 9 to 4, and then from 4 to 3. There was no dissension on who they would be. That's just how they met the objectives of what we were looking for.
Terrific. Well, again, my sincere thanks. Linda, your process sounds perfect as far as, bringing these folks into a full committee vetting. And I think, the question list, perhaps the other members of the board could get a look at that question list, perhaps add a few or add a few things to it such that I do like the consistency of asking questions or at least hitting high points across the board so that everyone sort of gets on the same page. So
Sure. So I'll be happy to send that list to the full board.
that would be great, Linda. Bob, you wanted to, you had a
At
question
the
or?
point that that information becomes public knowledge, could that be shared with all of us, please, so we can see what the questions were and how you guys got to that point?
Sure, I don't think there's anything contentious in it, it's just sort of.
No,
Okay.
it's just a list of general questions. And I think what I can do, Cindy, I'll include you on that email and you can post it with the minutes.
That'd be beautiful.
Okay.
Easy transition, so.
Yeah, there's really no perfect question
No,
to ask. We knew what we want as a board for a VSO.
Yeah.
And, so we designed questions around that. That would be general in nature,
sure.
but also very direct and to the point of being a VSO.
I find a list helps in that it stops the person walks out the door and says, oh, I wish I had asked about X, Y, Z. So I think the list is a wonderful
Everybody had
idea.
the opportunity to answer the same questions. I mean, it's
Yeah,
very consistent. So there's no one said, oh, then, that it was everybody got the same thing. Fair treatment across the board.
Right. And I just want to reiterate that the list of questions was really a guideline. Like I said, for some of them, we didn't ask every single question on the list. In fact, I think for all of them, we didn't ask every single question, but it kept us focused on what we did want to ask. And again, depending on their answers, there might have been follow-up questions that weren't on the list, so it was really just a guideline.
Right, many times they answered questions before we.
Yeah.
It was quite a job going down to the list and checking stuff off as they answered them, but yeah, they would answer just in their answer.
Right.
Well, I will say there are, Karen, the feedback I've gotten from my community is Karen is missed in her service. But again, change is part of life. And again, I am very enthused about the process and the response. And it sounds like there are some good candidates to have a discussion. And I think the process as a next step that Linda outlined sounds perfect. But I want to make sure that the full board and the community is on board with that next step on the 18th. Great. Okay. With that.
Michael,
Sorry, go ahead.
if I may, since a few of the gentlemen are here that I met with at the beginning of September, I just want to ask them if, did I capture a lot of the important things from our meeting, or did I leave anything out?
Who are you speaking to, Linda?
The gentleman.
The
Oh,
community.
Our guest,
Committee, I
our
guess.
community guest.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll speak to that because.
That's Bob Breaker
Bob
speaking.
Breaker. So
Okay.
I'm probably the catalyst that got these guys here. Thank you for all the work you guys have been doing. But I think the veterans and the communities have let you guys down because we haven't participated with you folks enough. And we're the consumer, we're the person interested. I've been involved first in Wenham with the Veterans Committee there. So I know the history about Hamilton and Wenham leaving, and I see all of those things. My only concern is veterans, period. Now, I left the Coast Guard after 30 years, half in the reserves, half in the active duty program. I was the command senior chief of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. I worked directly for the captain. I had a lot of experience in what we call human resources working. I was responsible for the care, health, welfare, feeding of the enlisted people and, mentoring the junior officers. So I feel the person that we select really has to have a deep understanding of what the veterans need and more than just a few years in the service. So, I'm looking for somebody like that. And we met with Linda and she did a great job of taking notes and taking our concerns. And Sherry has listened and taken our notes and taken our concerns. So I want to make sure that we get the best possible veteran service officer, because, you know, and Sherry knows, just in the last couple of weeks, I've had to take a Marine over to Beverly because he's got stage 4 cancer, and it's in 4 other organs, and we had to get a claim filed right away. And then I've got a 94-year-old vet with 4 Purple Hearts that's living on $26,500. Never knew anything about Chapter 115. I had to get him in the program right away.
Right.
So Dave helped me out, but then, you know, he shouldn't have to do that, but, you know, he helped me out and got him in there, so that's our concern, so, Ed?
My input would be that time and service is not necessarily so important. You have a lot of people that are on the road program, retired and active duty, marking time, as opposed to Rich Barbado, who wasn't in for that many years, but an incredibly powerful, dynamic veteran representative in the community. So I don't think, I believe it's much more important to find somebody who's gonna be entrepreneurial in the role rather than a bureaucrat. There's a lot of bureaucrats that say, well, I tried calling the VA, I haven't heard back from them. That's not satisfactory. It's solving the frickin' problem. And that requires a very different skill set and mindset.
Let me just add this, as the commander of the VFW here at Ipswich, we all had a deep interest in the VSO. And we were working towards making changes. And we're very happy that we're here now. We've heard a lot from our members in regards to what they were getting and what they weren't getting. As VSO, when I was a VSO here, it was the kind of pushed in the corner. And we brought it out of the corner and made a lot of contacts in Boston with some really tremendous people on the federal side. And it started to grow, and we started to help a lot of veterans. I myself have continued to dedicate myself to veterans once I got out of the Marine Corps and on the police department here in Ipswich. The experience I had as a VSO helping local community members tells me that the person, like Ed just said, doesn't have to have a lengthy period of time in business. They have to have what you said a little while ago. They have to have it in their gut. It's not a job. It's a conviction. It's a duty. It's a caring. It's an opportunity to help a fellow veteran. And I think that's important. I really want to thank the 3 of you for pulling it together the way you did and asking my questions. So thank you very much. And if we can be any help as you move forward, and if the new VSO, once they get selected, we'll be more than happy to sit down with you.
And again, I always think you have to have that competency, you have to have that passion, because that builds a lot of competency, but you also have to have some compassion. You have to be able to listen to people about other things in life before you get to the claim form, right? It's not just about, you know, getting the inbox, you know, it's.
I will tell you that when I was a VSO.
Yes, sir.
I had to help ladies who could do their checkbook. The husband passed away and someone needed to do their checkbook, so I absolutely helped them do that. When got groceries for them.
Yeah.
So those are the things that someone who is in that position has to accept. It's not just filing papers. It's not just sitting with a veteran. It's getting out into the community, meeting with the various veterans group and the communities that are involved with this office and doing the right thing all the time. But you need to look people in the eye, and you need to have compassion. You need to be fair, firm, and consistent, and you just have to follow up. You have to follow up. You can't promise anything and know that you can't deliver it. Sure. Yeah, it has to be factual.
Bob, what you just did for that veteran with the plumbing situation, out of your own pocket.
It had to be fixed right away, yeah. And these guys are all right, it's all of those things, but,
Yeah.
you know, there's some history I know, and, you know, we need to have that person, like they just all described, with all of that stuff, with a deep understanding of all of the programs and all of the things, and they need to be out in the community, working with all of us, so, you know, solving the problems.
Well, it would be good. I see it as a VSO working with the various veterans organizations that are around and encouraging those organizations to have service kind of training type of thing. And if we're all working together, then the veterans will get what they need. And the people that we're presenting have a good understanding of veteran needs, which is important. Because if you don't have that understanding, how do you go there? The veteran will pick up on it right away.
That's right, they will pick up on it right away. We suffered from some of that in the past.
Well, thank you for that input. The committee members, anything else, to add to the screening or the general, the passion? I think that passion brings a lot, and, that's a difficult thing, and I would, if I could say personally, that's a rarer and rarer property in today's world, so.
So each of those applicants will be before this board in full, and you'll be able to judge on your own what we saw. And, their passion, you'll make your own determination.
The unfortunate, some of us, on the eighteenth, we have a meeting with the parade committee. So
Right,
I'm not gonna be able to make it because I chair the committee. So, we'll make sure someone shows up.
I'll be the courteous anyway, so.
Yeah, just remember that the meetings are recorded, so you can go to Zoom and see them.
we are very cognizant, and this leads us to our next agenda item. We want to minimize the time, in Karen's absence, so we're trying to push this along as quickly as possible.
That's good.
However, a transparent and sensible process is what we owe the veterans of our communities. But the shorter the better in my book.
Great.
With that, I'm going to move on to our next agenda item, which is basically a quick discussion of it's a way of saying thanks for Karen Bell for holding the fort, keeping the fort held down, and basically to discuss, are there any things that, really the essence is, are there any things that you need in the interim while we're still trying to get this filled? First is the thanks for the hard work and the dedication you've shown. But I just want to make sure that we all, can check in with you, Karen, make sure there's anything that you need in the gap here that you're filling so well.
Just, if anything does come up, I'm here. To answer, I have contact with Karen. I also work with
Karen Tyler.
Yep. Sorry, not Tuesday, and also a couple other VSOs who help me out with some other things, like
Sure.
Kim and Salem and all that, so. Where I'm in the office, I don't, Karen, I'd love to talk to you afterwards about the chapter 115. So I can make sure I can get them on is there a Raleigh resident?
Yes,
I need to put them on my roll so we can get them, yeah.
Dave said he was gonna send it to you.
Okay,
Yeah,
alright.
I knew that, but, I didn't interact with you because I wanted to get it done right away.
Okay,
And I wanted to, I went on the advice from somebody I knew in the VA to go to Dave, and I knew
Yeah.
Dave, so I wanted to get it done right away.
cause I'm gonna need it so I can get the check and all that,
I,
so.
no disrespect, no.
No.
Oh, yeah, no,
This is all about communication, but
Right,
Karen, everything's going okay,
it's,
and there's nothing else that we can do except move this process along.
get a VSO in, please.
Okay.
That's what I need.
But it's important to say thank you, to acknowledge your hard work.
Yeah.
And I've heard from community members in my community about things are getting done and things are getting done well.
My goal
And it's
was-
appreciated.
Is to keep that there's someone here, that the phones will be answered, the messages, even though I might not have the answers, I will get the answers.
Okay. Terrific. Okay. That's item 3. I'd like to move on to item 4, which is just sort of a general discussion of sort of things that weren't anticipated prior to posting this agenda. Part of that is we touched on the next steps. We do have minutes, however, I would prefer, since they weren't put on the agenda, that we just keep them for review, and I'll make sure for our next meeting, which will be sooner than later, we can touch on it administratively. Cindy, thank you for pulling the minutes
Okay.
together as always.
Yeah.
They're much appreciated, and these minutes should be present shortly.
Yep.
Linda, anything from your side electronically?
Yeah, I just on the minutes, Cindy, I just wanted to note on the August 10th minutes, I know we're gonna do them at our next meeting, but there's an executive session motion in there. We didn't go into executive session for that meeting. We did do roll call because we were virtual, but we didn't go into a executive session.
part of the beginning part of it was kind of cut off. I assumed it was executive session, so I can take that out.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
thank you.
And there may be other things like that, because it was interesting trying to do it from Zoom. Yeah.
There are benefits to being around the table.
I don't
So,
think,
what is most beneficial for you for edits? Would you like us to just talk to you through them the next meeting, or?
Whatever works, you can, maybe they send them to you
Okay.
and yeah, because there could be others. Was there any kind of motion for, no, you said no motion for executive
No,
session.
no motion.
I don't think, we didn't have an executive session. We were on Zoom that night.
On Zoom, right?
Okay.
So-
So it's just calling the meeting to order, okay. Yeah.
Right, right.
So if there are any major edits for the last minute, these minutes that were distributed, send them through to me. I will funnel them through to Cindy, and we'll get a clean set ready for our next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Linda, the last item is set the next date. I believe in belt and suspenders. The next session will be coordinated with the HR, Ipswich HR for the 18th.
Actually, so we are not coordinating that with HR. I personally reached out to the 3 finalists and they are all available on the 18th. So yeah, and I've reserved a room. I'm not sure which one it is. I'm doing some bartering with another group that has the room I want.
Okay.
More to follow on that. But I do suggest, so the 18th is locked in, but I do suggest that we pick another night to meet to review the interviews and make a decision. If that's the board's pleasure to choose one of them.
I think coordinating another night very quickly thereafter is.
Yeah,
So the 19th or the 23rd or the 24th, I'll start the discussion.
23rd.
23rd is the Monday, the 24th is the Tuesday, and the 19th is a Thursday. Could I get the board's feedback on schedule?
19th and 23rd, work with me.
Yeah, the earlier.
I would,
Yeah,
Linda, how does your schedule look for those dates?
I'm sorry, which one? You're talking about the 20th? What date are we talking about?
The Thursday, the 19th of October.
Yeah,
The
that's good.
23rd of the Monday, 23rd of October, the Monday, or the 24th, which is a Tuesday.
I think the 24th, is our town meeting.
Okay, 19th?
yeah, I think the sooner the better. like
Yeah.
Karen said.
Yeah.
Because-
I think-
Sherry, the 19th?
No, I'm away. I
Okay.
told Linda I'm only gonna be here on the 18th. I'm gonna have to Zoom that, and Bob
Okay.
Snow's not around either.
Okay, could you zoom in for the 19th?
I'm gonna have to, yeah. I have a work schedule with my daughter that we can.
Oh, no. And you're away that next week too.
No, I'm away the 16th to the 20th.
Okay.
Well, 16th to the 19th,
Okay.
and Bob Snow's away also.
That same one, so does the 23rd work?
23rd, Sherry?
Oh, yeah, but I don't wanna make everybody.
Linda, the 23rd?
I think that's okay.
Okay.
Let me just confirm that we don't have a select board meeting
Oh,
that
wait a
night.
minute.
4,922 people coming into Massachusetts. You know,
Well, on the
I got a big
23rd?
military family, yeah, I mean, they start rolling in that entire week, I'm like.
So I'll do a little frustrating on it. Sherry, could you dial in for our wedding duties? Could you give us an hour?
I'm gonna get ready, that's gonna be, so we're on 18th.
People start flying in.
Could you mind dialing in for?
I'm sorry.
I'm available since the 18th.
Very
I know the 23rd is gonna start.
No matter what we do, we're
Right,
gonna have someone.
23rd is a Monday.
Yes.
In the worst case, I can do that day there, that's worst case, I can't do anything past that, I'm sorry.
23rd is Cindy, you can do that, 23rd.
23rd was the best.
Is that
23rd,
something-
Karen?
Is that something, that you want me at? Because I didn't know where I am in this whole process.
Karen, you are an integral part of this process.
Okay.
Very much appreciate the.
That is the ESO training, so I'm just leaving the next day to go.
Oh, so I have a problem.
No,
Okay.
no.
Hold
So
on,
I
let
know.
me ask you a question, seventeenth work?
Before the 18th is the interview, isn't the 18th
The meeting.
Oh,
meeting-
that's it, okay, got it
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
No, I put that on the 11th.
Yeah, the 11th.
I know we had so many-
The 11th didn't work, and again, I've been trying to get everyone to all of these, so.
So
I'm
Michael,
gonna propose, the 23rd.
Michael, I can't make the 23rd. I'm looking at the select board calendar and it looks like we have a select board meeting that night.
Okay. Cindy, if we have, do we have a backup minute, person?
Not that I know of.
I mean, I'll do it, I'll do the minutes.
Okay. I'm,
Yeah.
we wanna close this gap.
I know, the other one would have been a Zoom.
Yeah, okay. So, all right, so just to be clear, the next night, the 19th, we will get together in person. Those that need to Zoom will Zoom, 6:30. Does that work for people's calendar?
Yep.
And again, I appreciate everyone juggling their busy schedule of life. Again, our goal is to close this gap as quickly as, have as short a gap as possible.
Is that gonna be executive session?
Uh,
I believe
I'll
when you
give-
go through that minutia detail, I think I would believe there would be. I think you're having a personal, you're having a very private conversation about, why, who, what, when, where, why, and how.
I believe the 18th is not.
So 18th is not.
I believe the 19th should, I would suggest we do executive session. That being said, the 18th, as it was explained to me, my counsel, the people, if they're in another job, they are announced to the world.
Right.
I'm very sincerely looking at this other job. I do want to be sensitive that 2 people will not get this, 2 of the 3 will not be here, so that shows commitment on my part, but at the same time, I do want to be sensitive to people in other jobs, other positions. I don't know if anyone fits that category, but it really, the 18th will be open to everyone. Again, you'll also see the list of questions that we will use as our sort of sheet of music as well.
Michael, if I may,
Yes,
I don't-
Linda.
I don't know that our recap of the interviews and our decision-making falls under a reason to have an executive session. We should,
Okay.
we can ask Tim that, but I don't think it's one of the very specific reasons to have one.
Let me ask Tim. Tim Zessen is our committee lawyer. I will reach out to him, Linda, tomorrow with that question.
Okay.
Based on the answer will determine whether it's executive session or not. We want to make sure we're following the open.
Right. Now, certainly contract negotiations, that would be executive session. So after we choose somebody, if we meet as a board to talk about the contract, that could certainly be under executive session.
Okay, fair enough. Again, I'll get Tim's input on that tomorrow.
Okay.
Spend the 15 minutes on our lawyer, and see what he has to say.
Great.
All right, so 18th and the 19th are the next road marks. That's a belt and suspenders if you get it.
I'm on the 18th.
With that, I'd like to adjourn. the
Oh,
meeting.
wait, sorry, one thing. Sherry, do you,
Yes, Linda, go ahead.
Sherry, do you want to just speak to the 18th? I know you said that you were not available and Bob's not available, but that both of you were comfortable with the board doing the interviews
Yeah,
without you there? Okay,
and Bob Breaker is gonna be here for the interviews on the 18th. I'm going away with my daughter. We've had it planned for quite some time.
yeah,
Spent 2 nights in a row on Zoom meetings for 3 hours at a time.
thank
I
you,
feel a
Sherry.
little bit bad about that. So,
Understood,
I was-
understood.
I'm gonna dial into on,
Okay,
just not a
Okay.
date that worked. But the candidates, it was the only date that she could line up the candidates, so.
Fair enough, fair enough. So, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Hi.
All right.